healthy soil. You know, this deep, rich, brown, full of organic matter, full of microbes, full of fungus, full of nematodes, full of arthropods, full of all of that life. Have you ever been frustrated that your soil's not healthy enough? What exactly is healthy soil? And how do you get it? How do you get this? You know, for years, I'd take a bag of what looked just dark brown and just beautiful, and I'd put it on top, and it didn't take very long, and it was back to the same old sand or the same old clay. And it took me a very long time to realize that I'm not feeding the plants, I'm feeding the microbes in the soil, and the microbes in the soil are feeding the plants. The only thing cuter than a baby bean is two. I went through a point where all I really cared about was not having a weed. The rest, we'd go ahead and add chemicals, we'd go ahead and soldier on, and we'd see what we could get. And because I didn't want to weed anymore, I came across this deep mulch, mixed mulch method that I'm using now. And it really helped my garden. But I thought I was feeding the plants. It took me a little while to realize I was feeding the life in the soil, and the life in the soil is what fed the plants. So what does it take to get healthy soil? Microbes. So what are you talking about, life in the soil? What are you talking about, microbes? Where do we get microbes? Microbes are all around us. You'd be surprised, even though in the worst soil, there's billions of microbes. The dirt you get under your fingernail contains hundreds of thousands, if not billions of microbes. The stuff you need to have a microscope to see. And that is bacteria and fungus and arthropods and nematodes, and the whole list goes on. Science has identified some of them. So if you tried to buy some, you're probably not going to be able to find the ones that we want. If you tried to look at them under a microscope, I know I couldn't tell the difference. I tell you what, science has only identified about 20%, they think. But microbes in the soil helps your plants. It really does. This is a really good example. This amaranth, it came up on its own. It's growing just fine, and I haven't done anything to it. The microbes in the soil. All I did is treat the soil in a way that was beneficial to the microbes. So what does soil need to be healthy? Well, it needs water, and it needs air, and it needs microbes. And that's one of the reasons we don't till. You till, you make compaction, you stir it up, you disrupt all of that life. They need air. So all of that stuff that's going on underneath the ground makes little passageways, lets that air get in there. So we just cover with mulch. And the main reason we cover with mulch is to keep the water from evaporating. It also moderates the temperature. Now the microbes, they need water, but they don't need too much water. They need air. So if it gets too much water, then it'll go anaerobic, and the bad microbes, they grow in the anaerobic. And the other reason we keep the ground covered is the thing that compacts your soil more than anything is raindrops, believe it or not. Yes, we need the rain for the water. The microbes move around in water. If it gets too dry, they go dormant. To have a healthy soil, you need to keep it covered. You don't necessarily have to cover it with mulch or a compost. Plants, they do the very best. Those roots go down into the ground. Now those microbes, they live right around that root system. The roots feed those microbes. The microbes help break down the mulch, help break down the compost, but they also create enzymes. By trading sugars from the plants, they create enzymes that break down the minerals out of the soil, out of the rocks, the sand, silt, and clay. That provides plant-soluble nutrients to the plants. They work together. So the more roots you have, the healthier your microbes are going to be, the healthier your plants are going to be. So when they die back, you just cut them off and you leave those roots in there. And just like this big old squash plant, it finally succumbed to the squash bugs. We got quite a few really nice zucchini off of it, but I'm just going to clip it off. I'm going to leave the roots in, and that also keeps pathways open, also allows water to seep in. We're going to go ahead and toss this off into the compost pile. And in broad strokes, this is exactly how it works. And why am I bringing it up today? Well, I've had a couple outfits. They want me to go ahead and hawk their stuff. They want me to try to sell you on microbe this, compost that, I can't do it in good conscience because I wouldn't use it. Like I said earlier, when I first started, I'd take that nice brown dirt, I'd spread it out, and then it would disappear. So that's definitely not the way to go. Because I didn't want to weed, and I didn't want to weed anymore, and I ran across this deep mulch, mixed mulch, this is where we get our soil. This is how we've improved our soil. And it's because we've taken care of the microbes in the soil, I found out. And over the last 4 years you've been with me and you've seen the results. I'm showing you what's going on in the garden. Now you can do this too. You can create healthy soil, which will create healthy plants, which will allow you to eat out of the garden all summer, well into the winter. Till next time, remember, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and God bless you. Come on, let's plant.
Let's go plant garden.